My fellow masters, welcome to a look at what FGO has in store for the first half of 2025, and of course how many SQ1 can reasonably expect to save for all of the upcoming new servants to join the game between January and July, with a bit of potential overlap into August. So yeah, this is essentially part 1 of saving SQ in 2025 that doubles as a summary of the events and campaigns we can all look forward to. There will be a part 2 covering the second half of 2025 that will eventually follow, likely in January. For this first part, I chose a cutoff point that would allow the inclusion of the new Summer 2025 event, which has lots of brand new servants, many of whom I know are highly anticipated. Of course, I will highlight the other brand new servants expected along the way as we make our way through the schedule. Now, before we begin, just a bit of a disclaimer. I will be following the schedule order of these events and campaigns as they occurred on the JP server back in 2023, for the most part. Some changes will happen, mainly around the time frame leading up to NA's anniversary at the beginning of July, so I'll be making guesses with how certain events will be scheduled around the second quarter of 2025 to adjust for the differences between NA's anniversary compared to JP's anniversary that happens, or in this case happened, in August of 2023. So please keep this in mind as things may end up happening differently from what's outlined in this video. Now, let's get into it. For the purposes of this video, our starting date for saving will be January 1st, and right off the bat is the 2025 New Year's campaign. We get 30 SQ from a special login bonus, 20 SQ from new extra missions that will be added to the game. The missions involve leveling up 4 to 5 servants with thresholds ranging from 50 to level 100. We can gain 6 SQ and 5 summon tickets from the special panel missions of the New Year's campaign. From the campaign's limited Mana Prism shop items, we can purchase an additional 10 summon tickets. And then there's 1 ticket from the Grigori Rasputin trial quest. All combined, that adds up to 56 quartz and 16 tickets by the end of the campaign. Not a whole lot if you happen to be starting from 0 savings and intending to roll on the very last day of the campaign for the first new SSR of 2025, the aforementioned Grigori Rasputin. This suspicious priest is a limited alter ego pseudo-servant with an AoE arts MP that does extra damage versus evil aligned targets and has a decent instant kill chance against ones that are good aligned, among other effects like inflicting both burn and curse on the targets, along with an overcharged based arts buff. He can also charge the MP gauge of evil allies by 20% to combine with his 30% battery since that's his alignment, and for additional support, evil allies will also be granted an arts boost. Now Rasputin will also have a banner in September, so that's likely good news for those that really want him but may not have the savings to roll in January. But to cover my bases, if you were to try for Rasputin on his assumed last day on raid up, January 11th, you should have 64 quartz and 22 tickets, which includes the daily logins and weekly missions up to that point, plus the 5 tickets from the regular Mana Prism Exchange monthly refresh. Of course, there are other limited SSRs that will be on the rotating schedule on Rasputin's banner. It's quite the lineup with Gilgamesh, Koyansky of Dark, King Protea, Benienma, Amor Karen, Saber Astolfo, and Rhinus to tempt you out of your quartz. And they will even have limited or story-locked SRs joining them to provide some additional temptation. Expected roughly a week and a bit into January should be the pre-release campaign for the Part 2 of Lost Belt 7, assuming the overall Lost Belt 7 release follows the JP schedule. 7 SQ can be gained from a login bonus, and then there's another 24 SQ from the campaign's 2 sets of extra master missions. The pre-release campaign will also have 2 pickup summon banners, the first of which contains the limited SSR Rider Nemo and the incredible farming SR Caster Nitocris. The second banner features the brand new SSR Avenger Nitocris Alter. This version of one of my favorite waifus joins the ranks of Spishtar and Summer Kama as a very capable AoE arts looping Avenger, but she sets herself apart from them with her 100% NP battery and 2 arts buffs, one for herself and the other party-wide. Nito Alter can also change the alignments of enemies to evil for a turn. Then on the flip side, she can grant the good alignment to her allies, which then provides a chance to give them evasion, debuff immunity, and instant kill immunity, 1 time each for 3 turns. Her NP has a bunch of effects. It does extra damage against the man attribute, has a decent general instant kill chance, with a much greater chance against those with the evil alignment. For some added offense, the overcharge first provides a scaling buff to her NP damage for a turn. Nitocris Alter is permanent, so there will be ample chances to roll for her if the timing is just bad in January, which it probably is. And this includes 2 banners later in the year, February and likely May according to my guess on the schedule. Something that's been absent for the last couple of years is the Chinese New Year campaign. In 2025, the Chinese New Year falls on January 29th, so if we were to get one, it would be around this time. In the past, it would have provided 10 SQ, but I won't count this under the regular total since who knows if we will actually get one. So I'll count it with the conditional/speculative figures. On or around the very end of January should be the actual release of Lost Belt 7 Part 2. I think there will be a server maintenance preceding the release, so there's 4 SQ. There should also be 14 SQ given to us through a special login bonus to commemorate the occasion. Now, I just want to jump back to Nitocris Alter's banner, as the last day of her raid-up should be the day after the LB7 Part 2 release. So, if you were curious about saving up to the very last moment to try for her, then assuming a final raid-up day of February 1st, you should have 134 quartz and 30 tickets to try and entice Nito Alter to come home. That would be 144 quartz and 30 tickets if we include my speculation regarding the Chinese New Year campaign. And these are essentially the end of January totals, minus the 5 extra summon tickets from the February Mana Prism Exchange refresh that I counted for Nito's saving scenario. Back to the LB7 Nawi Mictlan Part 2 release. While it likely starts in January, its 2 pickup summon banners will span well into February. The first banner features the limited SSR assassin Tezcatlipoca. He has an AoE Arts MP that both ignores invincibility and provides a 10% charge for the party, with a 3-turn NP damage steroid overcharge effect. Tez possesses a number of party-wide buffs that includes a group attack buff that effectively doubles the increase for allies with a Guts effect. And I should mention he has a Guts for himself. Furthermore, he has a 30% NP charge just for allies, separate from his own 50% battery. Tez also has 2 power mod buffs, one against divine enemies and the other versus super large enemies, giving him lots of use cases for farming and boss fights. The second summon banner to follow, a week after Tezcatlipoca, will have a new limited SSR Foreigner Servant, and one I may have mentioned once or twice in past videos, but who's really counting? The AoE Buster waifu Kukulkan. She brings a bunch of cool things to the table, and her skills even have some extra conditional effects, like further boosting her attack or NP damage, or in the case of her targetable 50% NP charge, granting both ignore evasion and a 2-hit evasion for the target. These additional effects need to consume 10 stars, but she has a passive that regens that amount each turn to offset that. Her NP will do extra damage to threats to humanity, seal the enemy's skills, and even drop 30 stars. The overcharge is another power mod buff, this time against Earth attribute enemies. And there's Cuckoo's unique ability to convert actively triggered invincibility effects applied to her to the Castoria-esque anti-enforcement defense buff. Like I said, very cool stuff. Tagging along both banners is the permanent AoE quick SR pretender Tenochtitlan, who can notably provide a few party-wide buffs, including an increase to the group's attack, crit damage, and through her NP's effect, an NP damage boost to all allies. She even has a passive that gives a very modest 8% arts buff to the party when she's on the field. Tenochtitlan also has a waterside battlefield gimmick which she can both grant herself and benefit from, with an NP generation rate boost from her Noble Phantasm. Now, I'll come back to a saving scenario for these units in just a bit. I want to try to account for as much SQ as possible for them. Naturally, it will take some time to progress through the Lost Belt 7 Part 2 story quests, so taking the first week or 2 of February to play through it should provide a conservative 25 SQ from what I counted up of first clear rewards combined with SQ fragments gained. I suspect sometime early February will be a counterpart campaign for JP's 27 million downloads milestone. I say counterpart since NA sometime forgoes the downloads aspect and calls it something else. But regardless, we can expect 30 SQ from a consecutive login bonus, plus another 30 SQ from completing all the new extra missions to be added with this campaign. Easy ones like raise up servant skills a number of times ranging from levels 2 to 10, and I expect this to be applied retroactively as well. And then we can purchase 5 tickets from among the campaign related Mana Prism shop items. Of course, there is a pickup summon banner that fans of Aesc will need to contend with and see if their SQ savings remain intact. Now, let's take a look at a last-minute saving scenario for Tezcatlipoca, whose banner's last day is assumed to be February 14th. Saving from Jan 1st to this point would give you 233 quartz and 37 tickets to try for Tez. And then just add 10 more SQ for the conditional figure that includes a Chinese New Year campaign. If you want to roll for Tez at a later time, then his next banner is just later in the year, expected during the summer event. Because that's not a jam-packed time for servant banners at all. Ah well, just gotta roll with the punches, you know? Roughly a few days after the downloads campaign is the expected Valentine's event for 2025. There should be a social media campaign to promote it, giving us a likely 6 SQ. From the event itself, we can gain another 6 quartz and 5 tickets. Then for 2025, the US holiday President's Day falls on February 17th. We usually get a simple campaign for President's Day that provides 10 SQ, but this was skipped in 2024 for some reason. So to be on the safe side, I'll be counting this towards the optimistic conditional savings figures. And now for the last minute saving scenario for Kukulkan. Assuming her banner dates follow JP, then the last day she will be on rate up is February 21st. So at that point, you should have 286 quartz and 43 tickets. Note, there is a 50-day total login bonus in there. An optimistic savings total would change that to 306 quartz and 43 tickets. As I know she's on many priority lists for 2025, Kukulkan will be on rate up again later. I'm guessing late May or early June, if you wish for more time to save up. By my calculations, the 2800 days anniversary for NA should fall on February 22nd, maybe give or take a day. Though even if it was a day earlier, it wouldn't be until server refresh on the 21st. Too late to be included in my Kuku saving scenario, unfortunately. At any rate, we can look forward to 10 SQ from this milestone. Of course, we can't forget the featured servant on the Valentine's pickup summon, the limited SSR ruler Popes Johanna. This fabled Pope possesses an AoE Arts MP that will first provide an extra damage modifier against those that are evil aligned. Plus her overcharge adds another power mod buff against enemies with the Man attribute. Johanna also has a number of support abilities, especially on the Arts crit side of things, able to vastly increase an ally's Arts card star absorb coupled with a massive critical strength buff. For the party, she can buff the group's attack and Arts cards for 3 turns, plus a 20% NP charge per turn for everyone. Now, while the projected last day of her banner crosses over into March, to make things a bit easier on me, let's just use the February 21st Kukulkan savings figure previously discussed, with an additional 10 SQ from the 2800 days bonus. Please note, from this point on, new servant saving scenarios will not be based on the last day of their banners any longer. I merely wanted to provide Rasputin and the Lost Belt 7 servants an extra bit of leeway, since I know there were many who were aiming for them. Back to Popes Johanna. If she seems interesting to you, but the timing is just bad, her next banner will be February 2026. Then, given that this is the annual Valentine's banner that I've emphasized many times as the spot for permanent or story-locked female SSRs, they will of course have rate-ups alongside Johanna, including the recently debuted Nitocris Alter. But there is also a second pickup summon expected, which will have all the previous lead waifus of past Valentine's events. Thus, this will be a chance to summon for the limited SSRs Bazet, Amor Karen, MHX Alter, Semiramis, Murasaki Shikibu, Sei Shonagon, and Nero Bride. So, yeah. Good luck trying to maintain those SQ savings, my fellow masters. The Valentine's event will probably carry us to the end of February, so a general combined savings figure for up to February 28th should be 303 Saint Quartz and 44 summon tickets. That will change to 323 quartz and 44 tickets when including the conditionals. Likely to kick things off at the beginning of March is the pre-release campaign for the Chaldea Boys collection, which will provide 3 SQ through a login bonus. And it will have its own pickup summon banner headed by the powerful SSR Berserker Arjuna Alter, and other husbandos featured in past Chaldea Boys events, notably the limited SSRs Amakusa Shiro, James Moriarty, Arthur Pendragon, and Edmund Dantes. A few days after the start of its pre-release is when I'm guessing the Chaldea Boys collection and the related event, Tales of Chaldean Heavy Industries, should begin. There will be a social media campaign leading up to the event with a gift of 6 SQ. The collections portion of the event will have a special 7-day login bonus providing a total of 7 tickets, or 1 per day. It is an event, so there is a probable server maintenance for another 4 SQ. And then playing through the event will net you 8 SQ and 3 more tickets. The story-locked SR Archer Emiek Alter will get a skill rank up with this event, so if you have him, then that's an extra 2 SQ. The brand new servant to be introduced with the event Tales of Chaldean Heavy Industries is the limited SSR Archer Takasugi Shinsaku. This figure from the Meiji Restoration is an AoE quick servant with a few notable capabilities. He can buff the party's quick and buster cards and provide them with a 1-stage NP overcharge. Plus, Takasugi can reduce the cooldown of an ally by 1, among other things of course. His NP overcharge gives him a 1-turn scaling rainbow buff, plus a 3-turn increase to crit strength, all of them activating first. If you see some potential husbando material in him, then by the first day of his banner, which I'm going to predict will be earlier than JP's schedule, let's say March 10th, you should have 324 quartz and 51 tickets. Though, please keep in mind only 1 ticket from the login bonus would have been obtained at that point, and the event SQ and tickets are not included in those savings figures in this particular instance. Counting the conditional SQ up to this point would change the Takasugi totals to 346 quartz and 51 tickets. The next time Takasugi can be summoned will be March 2026 if you want him, but decide to pass this time around. There are a few more pickup summon banners for the Chaldea Boys event. There is the one that has all of the permanent or story locked male SSRs, and then one featuring the limited SSR Demon King Nobu, and another banner with the limited Lancer version of Sakamoto Ryoma. For JP, the second half of March usually has a livestream related to the Anime Japan exhibition. New info on upcoming game features are discussed, and there's typically an SQ commemorative gift to celebrate. NA doesn't really get a counterpart to this, but it's possible for the SQ gift to be given through some other campaign around this time or even perhaps later, so I'll just put this 10 SQ under speculation. Something we can definitely count on though is the annual user survey. For NA, this tends to happen around March, though there have been occasions for it to occur in February. For 2025, I'm going to include the 4 summon tickets it provides in the month of March based on 2024's timing of the survey. Then sometime in late March, we can expect the new Master Spring Support campaign, and it's filled with free SQ and tickets. First, it has a social media component with a tiered reward format of providing more rewards as higher goals are achieved. We experienced this during the 2024 Spring campaign too. Altogether, we can gain 12 SQ and 5 tickets from this. Then it's projected to have a few login bonuses, with the first providing 6 SQ and 2 tickets during the first week of the campaign, and I'm going to assume the first bonus will be contained within the month of March for the purposes of this video. The other login bonuses will follow, but will be counted in April. The Spring Support campaign will also have a set of limited master missions, where 12 more SQ and 1 ticket can be gained. Since the campaign is geared towards new masters, the missions are not complex. Add or follow 3 friends, level mash to 30, and then clear Fuyuki and the Orleans singularities. There will of course be an associated pickup summon banner featuring an always useful support unit, in my opinion, the limited SSR Caster Merlin. Plus the permanent SSR OG Seba and the limited SSR Gilgamesh makes another appearance to round out the banner lineup. Now, if you were disciplined up to the end of March, then by the 31st of the month you should have accumulated 384 Saint Quartz and 75 summon tickets. Adding in the conditionals will bring the SQ up to 416 quartz and no change to the tickets. From April onwards, I'm going to be making some rather bold predictions regarding the timing of campaigns and events. This is to try and fit everything that needs to happen before NA's anniversary, so I ask that you take the dates I discuss with a grain of salt. Though if I don't see an apparent schedule conflict for a specific campaign, then I will stick to the original JP scheduled dates. Each April 1st, Alasengo gives us a short, little fun April Fool's campaign with a mini game of some sort, and usually any login bonuses that JP gets with their April Fool's campaign tends to carry over to NA. Unfortunately, JP's 2023 April Fools had no such login bonus, or none that I could see, so there's not likely to be one for us this time around, sadly. But at least we can look forward to the remaining login bonuses from the new Master Spring Support campaign that should carry over into April. I estimate the second login bonus to cover the first week of April and will provide 6 SQ. The final login bonus for this campaign will give us 9 SQ and will probably occur during the second week of April. Right after the April Fool's campaign, at essentially the beginning of the month, should be the first Evocation Festival with more to follow as the year progresses. It's basically a huge game update that gradually makes past welfare servants available in what is to be a new exchange located in the Da Vinci shop. And each evocation festival will add a batch of select welfare servants to the new exchange, with the first group being Rider Kentoki, Caster Shutendoji, and Ruler Santa Ketz. Aside from that, there are lots of SQ rewards with this initial evocation festival. Considering the scale of the update, I think there will be a server maintenance for it, providing for SQ to at least handle the addition of the new items and the Da Vinci shop section. Through a lengthy login bonus that's expected to span the entirety of April, we can gain 30 SQ by the end of it. Then another 30 SQ can be obtained from clearing all the related limited master missions. There are some obstacles for your SQ savings though, as 2 pick up summon banners will accompany this evocation festival. The first will feature the limited SSRs Kentoki, Shutendoji, and the limited SR ruler Martha, and the story-locked SSR Quetzalcoatl. The second banner will contain the limited SSRs Mama Raiko and Saber Ibukidoji, the limited SR Lancer Ibarakidoji, and the permanent SSR Bradamante. The FGO Arcade Collab pre-release campaign will follow the Evocation Festival Part 1, but my prediction is the pre-release for the collab event will slightly overlap with an earlier start date compared to what happened on JP, simply for some needed adjustments to account for NA's anniversary. At any rate, let's say, for the purposes of this video, the pre-release starts on April 10th. There will be a login bonus where 3 SQ can be gained, and a couple of new rank ups will be added to the game for Caster Da Vinci and First Hassan. So that's potentially 2 SQ for each rank up quest if you have these servants. And then we come to the brand new servant being introduced with this pre-release campaign, the limited SSR alter ego Larva Tiamat. Gotta admit, I'm really excited for the addition of this AoE Buster waifu, and please don't judge me by her first Ascension appearance. There is a reason many affectionately refer to as Tia Mama. Her general MP damage will take top spot among AoE alter egos, and to help fire it off faster, she has a 50% NP battery, a party-wide 10% charge, on a blistering short 2-turn cooldown, plus she has a passive 5% NP charge per turn on top of that. For offensive buffs, she can increase her own attack and buster performance for 3 turns, plus give the party a 1-turn NP strength boost. Tiamat's MP will remove her own debuffs first, inflict a skill seal on the enemies, and the overcharge is a 3-turn scaling increase to her buster performance that activates first. She was on many wish lists, so let's set April 12th as her scenario date. That way there's enough time to take advantage of a few login bonuses. With that, saving from January 1st to April 12th, you should have 479 Saint Quartz and 82 summon tickets. Note this does not include every SQ from the Spring Campaign and Evocation Festival login bonuses, since some of them will come after the 12th. But there are 2 50-day login bonuses in there to make up for it. For a more optimistic total, including the conditionals and the count would increase the SQ to 515, with no change to the tickets. Tiamat will be on rate up again in January 2026 if you have someone else you're targeting. But naturally, it's not just Tiamat on the pickup summon banner to tempt you out of your quartz. There are the 2 limited SSR servants who just got the new rank ups as well, Caster Da Vinci and First Hassan. Now, I think the actual collab event, Lilim Harlot, will start a week after its pre-release, say a projected start of April 14th. We can expect 4 SQ from a preceding server maintenance, and playing through Lilim Harlot, clearing its main quests and missions will net you 22 SQ and 2 tickets. Furthermore, the event will introduce new rank-up quests for 6 servants, Jacques de Molay, Castor Gil, Nightingale Mordred, OG Nero, and Lartoria Alter. That's a potential 12 SQ if you happen to have all of them in your Chaldea. The Lilim Harlot event will also be the very much anticipated debut of the first playable, proper Beast class servant, the limited SSR Sodom's Beast Draco. According to the comments I've read, there are a ton of masters who have Draco as their main priority for the first half of 2025, and for good reason, as not only is Draco quite a potent single target arts unit, but she's pretty versatile, having similar effectiveness as a Berserker, but specifically against the 7 Knight Servants. That is to say, the 7 main classes of servants. Further to that, Draco's MP will do extra damage versus the 7 Knight Servants that scales with overcharge. She has a lengthy 6-turn NP regen buff of 10% per turn, a moderate crit damage buff for herself, and when Draco is under a special status granted by her skill 2, she can gain a number of beneficial effects that includes another 20% NP charge per turn for 3 turns, star regen per turn, ignore defense, and increases her damage versus the dragon trait and Roman trait respectively. So what are we looking at in terms of SQ savings if your target is this newest version of Nero? As with Tiamat, let's try to include some more of the Spring Campaign and Evolution Festival Campaign login bonuses. So we'll set Draco's scenario date to April 19th. Plus, this will give us enough time to clear the main quest and scoop up the event SQ. Saving everything from January 1st to this point should give you 524 Saint Quartz and 85 summon tickets. And if we include all of the conditionals like the 6 new rank up quests that come with Lilim Harlot, the net savings total becomes 572 quartz and 85 tickets. For those that may need to wait for Draco's next banner, it will probably be in June of 2026. However, there is a caveat to that, as it's a rerun of Lilim Harlot that was based on a JP user survey. Whether NA will get the survey to decide this is uncertain, or perhaps we'll just get the rerun regardless. Tagging along with Draco will be the new limited SR assassin Locusta. This infamous poisoner in Roman history is a single target arts unit with, as you may have guessed, a poison gimmick. She has several poison related capabilities, like inflicting it on all enemies for 5 turns, a self debuff of poison that can be converted to healing, but most notable is the MP damage modifier against targets that are inflicted with poison to stack nicely with her NP's overcharge of first increasing her art's performance for a turn, giving her some effective damage output potential. Plus, she has a useful 20% NP charge for the party as well. Locusta will next be available in January 2026. Lilim Harlot does have a few more pickup summon banners that appear as the event progresses, and the most enticing for many is probably the second banner with Lady Avalon, Jacques de Molay, and Castor Gill, mainly due to it being the self-proclaimed little sister of Merlin's first raid-up since her initial debut. If you do want Lady Avalon but need to focus on Draco, then she will have another banner in the summer, but that may still be bad timing anyways. The third and fourth banners for Lilim Harlot feature the limited Skaha, permanent Nightingale, and lastly the permanent Mordred and Jacques the Ripper, paired up with the story-locked SRs Artorial Alter and OG Nero. For my fellow masters that can see themselves sidestepping all of those banners in April for various reasons, then by the end of the month, the total savings should amount to 554 Saint Quartz and 87 summon tickets. This includes the rest of the SQ rewards from the Evocation Festival Part 1 month-long login bonus. Including the conditional campaigns and rank ups would change it to 602 quartz, with the same number of tickets. I think right from the very start of May, the Evocation Festival Part 2 will happen. At least that's my prediction. Regardless, for those that don't have them, you can look forward to Saber Elizabeth Brave, Caster Elizabeth Halloween, Archer Oda Nobunaga, and Foreigner Mysterious Idol X being added to the Evocation Exchange shop. There will be a lengthy login bonus, and will eventually provide a combined 10 SQ. And you can gain an additional 10 SQ from some limited master missions, mainly related to the 2 LHNs Nobu and MHX Idol. Those first 3 welfare servants listed will also get new rank up quests, and the great thing is everyone will be able to do them since, well, these are units everyone should either have or eventually have. Bottom line, that's another 6 quartz that can be added to the coffers. The Pickup Summon banner for this Evocation Festival Part 2 will have a number of limited servants with a few saber faces. SSR's Okitasoji and MHX, plus SR's MHXX and Summer Nobu. The permanent SSR Vlad and the SR Lancer OG Elichan round out the banner lineup. Several days after the start of the second Evocation Festival, we should get the Ordeal Call pre-release campaign. For our purposes, I'm going with a May 5th start for the campaign. Although, unfortunately, it does not seem to have any SQ or ticket rewards. Not even a social media campaign, at least from what I could see. But it does have a Pickup Summon banner, naturally. Of course, there are 2 SSRs on it, the permanent Anastasia and the limited Ivan the Terrible. Plus the permanent SRs Dobrynya Nikitic. I just love the way how Dobrynya rolls off the tongue. And Atlanta Alter, along with the story-locked 3-star Antonio Salieri. The event to expect in May is the Fun Karakuri Ilia's Castle. It's a tournament-style lotto event, and my guess is it will start just prior to the midway point of May, let's say May 12th. As usual for an event, there will probably be a server maintenance beforehand, and the familiar sight of 4 Apology SQ as a result. However, the event quests don't have any SQ rewards this time around, but there are special quests called Super Obstacle Stages that each provide 1 summon ticket, 6 tickets in total. Not to worry, as these are not the ultra high difficulty quests like the ones found in the Tamlin Cup. They just have a bunch of unique rules to figure out, and they all have a recommended level of 80. This event is also where we get the new permanent SSR assassin, Kashin Koji, which is nice to see as currently there are only 2 SSR assassins among the permanent summoning pool. And this spider girl? Mama? Who knows. Kashin Koji fills a role that was missing from the permanent SSR assassins, as she has an AoE type NP, quick base to be exact, and she will take top spot for general NP damage output among her fellow AoE assassins. She has a stun-like bound effect gimmick in her kit, a decent NP battery to go along with a buff on attack effect of additional NP charge when using her regular quick cards. Kashin Koji can supply herself with a good amount of stars, and to use it she can boost her star absorb and massively buff her crit damage for 1 turn each. For a bit of support, she can provide a party-wide 1-hit invincibility buff. Her NP has a moderate chance to instant kill, but it's the overcharge that builds on the stun gimmick. It has a scaling chance for inflicting bound on all enemies that activates first, and then it also does extra damage to the enemies that are bound, of course scaling with OC level. There was not a whole lot of her mention among people's wish lists, which I suppose is kinda understandable given her permanent status. But if you were interested in Kashin Koji, then let's use a scenario date of May 14th for her, giving us time to receive all the login bonus SQ from the second Evocation Festival. So from Jan 1st to May 14th, you should have 588 Saint Quartz and 100 summon tickets. Note, this just has 2 tickets from the special obstacle quests of Karakuri Ilia's castle, given that they are time-gated. Then, on the optimistic side of things, the figure changes to 636 quartz and 100 tickets. Since Kashin Koji will be a permanent unit, that means at least every February there will be an opportunity to obtain her. On raid up alongside Kashin Koji will be the story-locked SR Kato Danzo and the permanent 3-star Fuma Kotaro. 2 more pickup summons for the event will appear in a staggered fashion, the second having the limited SSR caster Ilia and her BFF limited SR caster Miu Edafelt. The third expected banner will have another version of Ilia, the story-locked SSR Sitanai, accompanied by Miu and Danzo. Around the last week of the Karakuri event, a Nero Fest / Battle New York rerun banner will probably pop up, not completely unrelated to the event given its Lotto roots, and the fact the Karakuri Gacha CEs are on it. But fans of Nero will have to bear with the temptation as the limited SSRs Umu Bride and Umu Summer are featured. The story-lock units SSR Nikola Tesla and SR Thomas Edison represent the Battle New York side of things. Assuming I'm right about the general schedule being pushed up earlier than JP, or at least if I'm sort of in the ballpark range, I surmise the Ordeal Call release campaign will happen very late May. On JP, this actually occurred in June, but I'm going to guess May 26th or thereabouts for NA. Ordeal Call itself will introduce a number of significant game updates like the class score system. Since there's a major game update involved, there is likely to be a server maintenance with the usual 4 SQ compensation. And as for SQ rewards, among the various aspects of the campaign will be a set of 3 limited master missions providing a combined 12 SQ. At the same time as the Ordeal Call release will be the Paper Moon pre-release campaign. These 2 campaigns had the same start on JP, so since I'm predicting May 26th for Ordeal Call, then this pre-release for Paper Moon will also be on the 26th. A decent amount of SQ can be gained from the limited missions that come with this campaign, totaling 12 SQ when they're all cleared, 10 of which requires completing LB7. This Paper Moon pre-release has something of a rerun banner for LB7, with reappearances of Nitocris Alter, Kukulkan, and Tenochtitlan. So maybe you decided to continue saving a bit longer for one of these servants just for this particular banner. But for the sake of ease, let's consider the end of May savings totals if you're looking to roll for any of these LB7 servants around this time. So tallying up everything from January 1st to May 31st, your savings should be around 672 Saint Quartz and 102 summon tickets. This includes 3 50-day total login bonuses. This changes to 720 quartz, with the same number of tickets when factoring in all of the SQ from conditional sources. Kicking things off for the month on June 2nd is likely to be our 2900 days anniversary, as it's been 100 days since the last milestone of this type. And as per usual, we can expect a login bonus of 10 SQ from this anniversary. I'm also going to predict June 2nd as the date for the Paper Moon main story chapter release. Preceding a release should be 4SQ from server maintenance. There will probably be a social media campaign commemorative login bonus to celebrate the occasion, and for NA it's reasonable to expect the login bonus to be 6SQ. And then playing through the story chapter will net you about 25 quartz, 16 for the section clears, and 69 fragments from the individual quest arrows. As one would expect, a new story chapter means new servants, and the first pickup summon banner for the Paper Moon release features a new story-locked SSR Lancer, Bhima. Or is it Beam? I'll just stick with Bhima. He's a single target buster unit with good crit abilities, with a decent star gain, moderate crit strength boost, and 2 on-attack buffs that further boosts his crit strength when quick cards are used, and more stars gained when buster cards are used. But all that said, it's probably more so Bhima's NP that makes him really stand out. It has a useful enemy buff removal and a 3-turn crit damage increase of 50%, both effects activating first. However, the overcharge is where it can get interesting as it adds extra hits to his MP with damage scaling per OC level. Though do note, the extra hits only take effect at overcharge stage 2 or higher. All in all, his general MP damage output is quite strong and can obviously get more potent if his OC effect is leveraged. Introduced alongside Bhima is the story-locked SR Berserker Duryodhana. He has an AoE Arts NP with some support capabilities, notably a party-wide modest attack and crit strength buff, along with a targetable 3-turn star absorption tied to a stars per turn effect on top of a separate immediate crit star gain. For Jest himself are buffs that boost his own arts and critical strength to build upon the party-wide effects. Duryodhana's MP can also provide some beneficial effects for himself and the party, with a chance-based debuff to the enemy's quick, arts, and buster resistance for 3 turns each, all scaling with OC level. Not long after Bhima's banner drops will be the second pickup summon for the Paper Moon release, featuring the limited SSR Kama, one of, if not arguably, the best ST assassin in the game. The permanent SR Prince of Lanling plus both versions of Gilderay tag along for this banner number 2. Then about a week after the release of the story chapter will be Paper Moon's third pickup summon featuring a servant that I'm really excited about for waifu reasons, the limited SSR Archer Durga. She's an AoE Arts unit with a 50% NP battery, a one-time one-stage NP overcharge buff for the party, a moderate multi-turn rainbow buff for herself, and she has the ability to change all of her face cards to arts for 1 turn, which is tied to a 3-turn NP damage buff and a 1-turn ignore invincibility. Furthermore, Durga's MP has 2 damage modifiers, one that increases damage against sky attribute enemies, and the other modifier is her scaling overcharge effect against demonic trait enemies. It also provides a bit more offense with a 3-turn defense debuff on all surviving targets. Durga should definitely prove to be a very effective AoE Arts archer. Duryodhana is also on raid up during Durga's banner, so if you wanted a chance to get him but had no plans to roll for Bhima, then Durga's raid up offers another opportunity to obtain this new story-locked Berserker. To make things a bit easier on me, here's a combined SQ saving scenario for both Bhima and Durga with a target date of June 9th. It's a week after my projected release of the story chapter and allows for some time to play through Paper Moon and get its SQ. So your savings up to this point, assuming you've been completely disciplined, will be 725 Saint Quartz and 108 summon tickets. And if we include all of the conditional SQ we've discussed thus far, that will bring the SQ total to 773 with no changes to the tickets. For future summoning chances of these servants, Bhima is story locked, so he will always be on raid up during the CBC event held in March. Duryodhana, being a story locked SR, is a bit trickier, but he will be on raid up again in February-March 2026. In fact, all 3 of them, including Durga, will be on the same pickup summon banner expected in late February, early March of 2026. Now we come to my biggest guess for the schedule, the Mystic Eyes Symphony event. I predict this event, which happened in July on JP back in 2023, will be moved to early June. Specifically, I'm projecting a June 9th start date. I realize this only gives a week in between the Paper Moon chapter release and the next event, but it's not without precedent on NA. For example, the Trom story chapter release was followed by the Moonsault Operation Grailfront just a week afterward. To account for a 3-week event duration and the need to finish before the beginning of July, June 9th seemed like a very plausible start date to me. We can look forward to 4SQ from a server maintenance to prep for the event. There should also be a commemorative login bonus tied to a social media campaign for the event's launch. For NA, this is likely to be a 6 SQ reward. And then playing through the Mystic Eye Symphony main quest will net you 10 more quartz. With this event, fans of Medusa can rejoice as she finally gets an SSR version added to the game, a limited single target quick saber to be precise. Medusa Saber has a bunch of cool things in her kit, like a 1-turn petrify chance, a good crit damage steroid for her quick cards, with said cards inflicting a curse when used, a 50% battery, a party-wide buff to attack, and specific crit damage increase for allies with the demonic trait. Medusa Saber's MP can also buff the attack of allies with the Earth attribute. Her MP also does extra damage against a target with the Man attribute and has a moderate chance to petrify them. The overcharge is a scaling self-quick steroid that activates first. Now, Medusa Saber is the key factor in why Mystic Eye Symphony needed to be in June as opposed to July as was originally scheduled on JP in 2023, and that's because she's supposed to be a possible summon on the 8th anniversary GSSR and Destiny Order. But before I go over an SQ saving scenario for Medusa Saber, let's take a look at a campaign that's likely to happen for more possible quartz. And that campaign is the counterpart to the 28 million download celebration that happened on JP. The timing of these for NA tend to be a week or so, give or take, earlier than the original JP schedule. So I'm predicting June 12th for this download counterpart. It will have a nice 30 SQ reward on the last day of a 10-day consecutive login bonus, with another 10 SQ you can obtain from its limited master missions. They all involve accumulating bond points, and the campaign has a feature to make this easier to accomplish, not to mention the bond point bonus that exists within the Mystic Eye Symphony event. The campaign will also have 5 tickets you can get from limited time items added to the Mana Prism shop. If you're an avid fan and collector of all servants Artoria, or Saber faces in general, then the associated pickup summon could be quite the nightmare for your SQ savings. It has a number of limited summer themed SSRs and SRs, Ruler Artoria, Okita J, Maid Alter, Space Cop MHXX, Squirtoria, and Surfer Mordred. Why? Why did this have to come before the anniversary? I might have some trouble with this pickup summon. So, jumping back to Medusa Saber's saving scenario, let's assume a June 22nd target date to allow for the downloads campaign and its consecutive login bonus. Saving up from Jan 1st to June 22nd will give you savings in the amount of 798 Saint Quartz and 115 summon tickets. Looking at the more optimistic number, you would instead have 846 quartz and 115 tickets. If you need to pass up on Medusa Saber since the anniversary and summer event is just too close at this point, but would like to eventually obtain her, she is expected to be on Raid Up again in February 2026. Needless to say, there will be other pickup summon banners staggered throughout the duration of the Mystic Eye Symphony. The second one, to likely come a couple days after the start of the event, will have the limited SSR rider Kyokute Bakin and the permanent SR Avenger Hessian Lobo. Not long after that, we can expect a third banner with limited SSR assassin Huyen Chuo and permanent SR rider Huang Feihu on Raid Up, in a bit of a rerun of the Halloween 2024 event banner. Then lastly is the fourth pickup summon for the event with a bunch of servants on it, the limited SSR caster Miss Crane, the permanent SSRs Berserker Galatea and Lancer Vitra, the story-locked SRs Archer Balbashi and Avenger Gorgon, with the permanent SRs Medusa Lily and Seno, plus 3-star units OG Medusa and Uriel to round out the lineup. As we have enjoyed for the past few years, NA is likely to get a special app release anniversary campaign on June 25th, and we can look forward to 30 quartz from this. Then my guess is the 8th anniversary pre-release campaign will start immediately afterward on June 26th, giving about a week and a bit before the actual anniversary campaign. There will be several memorial quests with summon ticket rewards with this pre-release, and you can gain a combined 4 tickets. Then it should be noted, during this pre-release campaign, brand new players will enjoy double the start dash rewards with a total of 225 SQ that can be obtained. On the other side of the spectrum, masters that have not logged in for a month straight will have a chance at a comeback login bonus good for 30 SQ and other goodies. I won't count either of these, but they were worth mentioning. Not unexpectedly, there will be an associated pickup summon banner, and it will feature 2 limited SSRs, Archer James Moriarty and Rider Da Vinci Lily, to kick off the whole anniversary temptations. To close out the month, the total savings one can have by June 30th is 836 Saint Quartz and 120 summon tickets, assuming strict discipline has been maintained. And the figure including all of the conditionals thus far is 884 quartz, with no change to the tickets. We are finally covering the month of July, which marks the beginning of an always packed time of the year for servants. We're almost to the summer event, my fellow masters, so please bear with me a little longer. For JP, the Evocation Festival Part 3 happened at the beginning of July. For NA, I did not see any real conflict with the anniversary and this overall time period, so I'm guessing it will also be in July for us. With that said, we'll keep the same start date of July 3rd, where it can take over from when the anniversary pre-release campaign ends. To match the warmer season, 3 summer welfare servants from the past will be added to the Evocation Exchange: Summer Skaha, Jalter, and Hokusai. Like parts 1 and 2, it will have a lengthy login bonus, where a combined 10 SQ can be gained. It will also have limited missions involving the aforementioned welfare summer servants, and you can obtain 10 SQ once all the missions have been cleared. Lastly, Summer Skaha will get a new skill rank up, so that's another 2 SQ everyone can get. The pickup summon banner for this 3rd Evocation Festival contains a few limited servants that could really be enticing to some. First off is the SSR caster Skaha Skadi of quick meta fame. Then there's the always popular Sunderer Jean Alter. And lastly, the cute foreigner waifu Katsushika Oi. Plus the 3 limited summer SRs that accompany them: Lancer Kiyohime, Saber Maeve, and Archer Osaka Behime. Generally, the largest campaign of the year, NA's anniversary celebration, typically gets officially announced and launched during a convention panel at the Anime Expo. For 2025, this convention goes from July 3rd to the 6th. So let's say a start date of our 8th anniversary on July 6th. As far as all the goodies we can look forward to, the server maintenance that precedes the anniversary campaign tends to be longer than usual, so we can expect 5 SQ from it. On JP, there was an 8th anniversary social media campaign that ultimately resulted in a 100 SQ gift in commemoration of the milestone. For NA, this is likely to end up being 70 SQ to go along with the previous 30 SQ we received during the app release campaign to balance things out. This is essentially what happened during our 7th anniversary as well. The 8th anniversary will have a cumulative login bonus which provides 10 tickets on the 7th login, another 10 tickets from the anniversary limited time Mana Prism exchange items, and then there will be several themed missions related to the anniversary campaign, and you can get a combined 20 SQ when they're all cleared. All of them are simple and just involve having a specific servant in the party front line when a quest is cleared. Equally as simple are the limited main quest progress count missions. Clear any main story quest from the parts 1, 2, and 2.5 arcs a number of times, and get rewarded a total of 30 SQ. Lastly, among the campaign's limited time missions is the one that requires unlocking 1 class score sign for a 15 SQ reward. Of course, there will be new permanent extra master missions added to the game as well. 30 SQ can be obtained from clearing Trom, plus parts 1 and 2 of LB7 Nawi Miklan. There's another 30 more quartz one can gain from the added free quest clear missions. Then there will be a new subset of extra missions. The first group involves clearing a number of advanced quests, and the SQ rewards total 144 when all of these missions are completed. The second group is about unlocking a bunch of class score signs. Unlock 100 of them and gain 30 SQ. Now for some new extra missions that I will count under the conditional tallies, since their requirements rely heavily on the size of one's roster, may be short on servants to meet the mission requirements. Clear 260 to 290 rank up quests and 270 interludes and gain 50 SQ combined. With our 8th anniversary comes the newest group of servant rank up quests. 14 servants over a 7-day period will each get a quest to upgrade either a skill or MP, but not everyone will have these servants, so my conservative figures will only include those that everyone should have access to, and the rest will be grouped with the conditional count. So when you clear the rank ups for these 4 free servants, a total of 8 quartz can be added to your savings. And if you're fortunate enough to have all the other servants, then you can add another 20 SQ. And lastly, there is a soul summon ticket that can be obtained from completing the trial quest of the new anniversary servant. All in all, the 8th anniversary will provide a healthy 382 quartz and 21 tickets combined, or 452 SQ factoring in the conditional extra missions and rank ups. That brings us to discussing said anniversary servant, the limited SSR caster Aesc the Savior. And going by this particular Ascension appearance, you can probably imagine that selecting Aesc by accident on the support screen when you actually wanted Castoria could easily happen, if you're not paying attention. Ask me how I know. Now, Aesc can benefit the party in a few ways. She has a party-wide attack buff with HP-dependent incremental increases. She also has a per-turn NP charge of 10% for the party, tied to a 50% battery for herself. But most interesting, I think, is her third skill that can be used to provide a party-wide 50% NP charge after an initial 5-turn cooldown. Good thing Aesc is an AoE buster unit, so with a coin sky of light or two, that specific skill can be used within 3 turns or so. Oh, and her NP itself has a cooldown reduction specific to her third skill that scales with overcharge. The OC will also buff her buster cards for a turn. Aesc can also do extra damage against the evil alignment that scales with NP level. A 1-hit, 1-turn invincibility for herself and a 3-turn defense debuff on enemies cover the rest of the NP's effects. Now, this soon-to-be newest Saber-Face caster was mentioned by many to be a priority in 2025, so let's set a saving scenario date of July 13th to allow enough time to pass for the consecutive login bonus tickets, the new rank ups, clearing submissions, and even a couple of Evocation Festival login bonus SQ. So for Aesc, saving from Jan 1st to July 13th, you should have 1,250 Saint Quartz and 148 summon tickets. Add in all of the SQ from conditional sources, and that increases to an optimistic 1,368 quartz and 150 tickets. Though if for some reason you need to skip Aesc this time around, her next banner is currently scheduled for around July of 2026. Needless to say, Aesc will not be the only servant on raid up during the 8th anniversary campaign. We will have the anniversary's second pickup summon to contend with. It features 14 limited servants, evenly split between SSRs and SRs. In the order of schedule rotation, we have Space Ishtar and our partner in hunting bounties Calamity Jane. Then the Genji-hating Taira no Kagekyo coupled with Summer Ushiwakamaru. Representing the husbandos is Constantine and Saito Hajime. The Trunk sisters get paired up with mysterious alter ego Lambda. Following them are Summer Tamamo and Summer Sei Shonagon. Super Bunyan along with Dai Kokuten are the second to last pairing on the banner. And finally, there is Van Goghie and Summer Frankenstein to end off the pickup summon. Now, if our 8th anniversary campaign lasts until July 20th like I predict, then I guess we will probably get the summer event right on its heels. This was the case for JP in 2023, so let's assume a July 20th start date. Plus, it will be a 3-week event, so that should take us well into August. First off, we can get 4 SQ from a pre-event server maintenance. Then there is likely to be a commemorative login bonus gift, probably based on a preceding social media campaign. For our JP brethren, it was 14 SQ, but I'm going to be a bit more conservative and assume 6 SQ for us. Playing through the event's main story and completing a couple of specific event missions will provide 16 SQ and 3 tickets to add to our coffers, only to be snatched up by all the new summer servants in all probability. And what a lineup of new summer servants it is. Starting off with the first pickup summon, like Summer 2024 with Berserker Ibuki Doji, we are getting another limited SSR Berserker servant that is arts-based in Artoria Caster, swimsuit version. But this time, Castoria has a single target NP with a few extra damage modifiers. One is the straight NP effect of increased damage versus threats to humanity. The others are tied to her NP's overcharge with scaling damage against chaotic enemies and divine enemies respectively. Summer Castoria's NP can even protect the party for 1 attack, 1 turn with her trusty anti-enforcement defense buff that kinda carried over from her caster version. Can't forget to mention she has 2 separate NP batteries, one 50% charge for herself and a targetable 20% charge that will also boost NP generation for the party and increase the NP overcharge by 2 stages for 1 time over 3 turns for the targeted ally. Summer Castoria has a lot going on that can easily make her a fantastic main single target DPS unit for one's roster. She's also one of the most mentioned for summoning priorities in 2025 among the comments I've read. Expected to be on raid up alongside Berserker Castoria is the apparent summer vacation mode of Suzuka Gozen. Donning a tan, a swimsuit, and more of a Gyaru appearance, this version of Suzuka is a limited SR rider with an AoE quick MP. Highlights of her kit include a party buff for attack that also increases NP damage for summer mode allies, a targetable NP gen buff that also has a 1-turn skill cooldown reduction, and her MP will do extra damage to lawful enemies, and through the OC effect, Earth attribute enemies as well. Joining Castoria and Suzuka on this first Summer Festival banner is Chloe von Einsburn. This time she appears as a summertime SR Avenger with a single target quick MP. And Avenger Chloe is a really interesting SR unit since she has some really cool abilities with tons of support potential. Chloe can grant the party a buff that gives them a status effect per enemy hit when they attack, even with their MP. And when Chloe uses her third skill, those status effects are converted to a 10% charge per stack, which can quickly fill up an NP gauge. Another one of Chloe's skills is a delayed self-swap out that moves her to the back row and brings another servant forth in her place. On the damage buff side of things, she can provide both attack, crit strength, and NP damage increases to the party as well. Her NP can use those status effects too, dealing extra damage based on the number of stacks. It also provides a bit of stalling, reducing the enemy's NP gauge by 1. The overcharge is a scaling 3-turn quick performance increase that activates first. The second Pick Up Summon banner may be of special note for some that recently rolled for Oberon, as he will be on it, along with 3 Knights of the Round, the story-locked SRs Gawain and Tristan, plus the permanent SR Lancelot, who all get their summer costumes with this event. Definitely a long time coming for the 3 Knights specifically. Then we come to the third event Pickup Summon, which will probably be staggered several days from the start of the summer festival. And on it is another widely mentioned servant priority for 2025, the limited SSR ruler Melusine. This time around, the summer mode version of Meluko is an AoE arts unit capable of a couple power mod buffs for herself. One is a skill-based damage modifier of a moderate amount against chaotic enemies, and the other is through her MP, giving her increased damage to those possessing the Earth attribute. Summer Melusine has a couple of crit strength buffs, and is able to provide a decent amount of stars per turn to use, which becomes a significant amount when on a water side or airspace battlefield. And of course, she has a huge NP battery of 80%, because what else would you expect from Melusine? Then rounding out her kit are the 3 core steroid buffs for her arts cards, NP damage, and through her NP overcharge, an attack boost, all of them lasting for multiple turns. So yeah, Summer Melusine looks to be a very capable universal AoE arts looper that will be added to the growing list of very capable universal AoE arts loopers. Melusine is of course accompanied by her fellow Tamlins in their summer versions. We have Kate Ku Sir Priestess, aka Bava Shi, this time as a limited SR pretender with an AoE buster NP. She's got a range of party-wide buffs, but one that's notable is the ability to extend the turn duration of the party's HP regen, NP regen, and crit star regen by 3 turns. This will also lengthen the poison, curse, or burn debuffs on enemies by 3 turns as well. And wouldn't you know, Summer Bavan's MP gives herself those buffs and inflicts curse and poison debuffs on all targets. Her NP also has an extra damage modifier against enemies with the man attribute, somewhat taking after her mother. Summer Bavan also has a bit of a status gimmick that's given to the party through one of her passives whenever they take an attack. And through this status, she can further boost the NP damage of allies and even charge their NP by 20%. For Tamlin Barghest, her summer version is a limited SR Arts Archer. But UDK Barghest takes a page out of Melusine's playbook and has an ability to switch between her default AoE NP type to single target for 3 turns. And the particular skills effect is optional if you just want the other effects like an NP damage boost and granting herself the super thick, the super large trait. Summer Barghest can also reduce the party's skill cooldown by 1, providing a small heal to the party with her regular attacks, and just specific to her allies, excluding herself, give them a 1-turn invincibility and a more substantial HP recovery. When low star rarity allies are present on the field, UDK Barghest grants herself a further increase to her attack. Regarding her MP, its effects remain the same between AoE and single target types. Notably, it can remove the offensive buffs of enemies, and its overcharge is a 1-turn art steroid that activates first. The 4th summoning campaign for Servant Fest is the second appearance of 2025 servant Tezcatlipoca. So if by some miracle you still have SQ and missed out on him earlier in the year, then this would be another opportunity to roll for him. Now, since the banners for the new summer versions of Castoria, Suzuka, Chloe, Melusine, Bavan, and Barghest will last into August, well, assuming my event date prediction is correct, or at least pretty close, then I figured a combined saving scenario for all of them at the end of July would work. This not only gives us time to progress through the event and obtain its SQ and ticket rewards, but we can collect a bit more from daily logins and weekly missions. So if you plan to target Summer Castoria or Melusine, or perhaps one of the SRs like Chloe or Barghest, then saving from January 1st to July 31st, you should have 1,329 Saint Quartz and 154 summon tickets saved up. This also includes another 50-day total login bonus since January, making 4 total to this point. Then for the optimistic figure, which includes all of the campaigns and rank up quests that are pretty conditional, the savings become 1,447 Saint Quartz and still 154 summon tickets. If for some reason the gacha is not kind to you, or your primary target is actually further into 2025, but you would eventually like to obtain any of these summer servants, then they will all be available once again around July 2026. Or perhaps you were targeting the servant lineup from last summer. Because that's right, the amazing units from the Arctic Summer World event will have a rerun banner expected at the tail end of the Servant Fest event. So if my event dates are on the money, it will probably be an August banner. Ultimately, it means another chance to obtain 2 of the latest meta supports, SSR's Lady Avalon and Ruler Scotty, plus the absolute top tier AoE arts looping Berserker, Ibuki Doji, along with the summer SR servants Gareth, Utsumi Eris, and Wu Jiatan. Man, it's basically just rip SQ savings when summer 2025 comes around. You know what I'm saying? And on that bombshell is where we will stop for this part 1 of SQ savings in 2025. If I'm wrong about the Servant Summer Festival starting in July and it does end up being a completely August event, then please just consider those SQ savings figures as more conservative than usual. Which is a good segue to a reminder that I've made a lot of guesses here, especially concerning dates. So whether or not the campaigns and events follow what I've outlined in this video will obviously have an impact on how much one can save by a given point in the first half of the year. Your saving results may vary. So please keep in mind my intent is to illustrate what is possible. So hopefully everyone can gain a good idea of what can be reasonably expected in terms of SQ and tickets on hand for their target servants. At any rate, this was a long one to get through, and if you've made it to the very end, I most definitely salute you. Not to mention, you have my sincere gratitude for watching. I really hope there is info in here that will be helpful in one way or another. Let me know in the comments if you're going into January with an already good amount of SQ savings, and this was just confirmation you will have lots to work with. As for part 2, it's my hope to have it out in New Year's as soon as I can, so I hope you will check it out when it does come out. Please do me a favor and smash that like button if there was something you enjoyed or found useful in the video. And for more FGO content like this, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. We're pretty close to hitting 19k subs, so I'm hoping we can hit that mark sooner rather than later. And if you're feeling extra appreciative of this content and feel very generous and want to support the channel a little further, then please consider dropping a super thanks. But do remember, I am extremely grateful for any type of support, even if it's just simply watching the video. And on that note, I will again say thank you so much for watching, and until the next one. Cheers all!